Hi, everybody. I'm not sure what part of the world you're all in, so it's a bit difficult to say good afternoon or good morning, but good day, I guess, is the best way to do it. WHO developed a strategic roadmap in 2019 in response to the declaration from 2017 that snakebite would return to the NTD list as a Category A priority neglected tropical disease. And of course, that NTD listing was supported in 2018 by a unanimous resolution that went through the World Health Assembly that calls not only on WHO to take a number of steps to try and improve the global situation, but also called upon the countries themselves to do more, to invest more, to integrate snakebite envenoming into their national health plans and to try and reduce the burden as it stands. So this roadmap that we released in 2019, the central aim of it was the aspirational goal, I guess you could say, was that we would like to see a reduction in deaths and disabilities by around 50% by the time we get to 2030. Now, to do that, this plan carries four main pillars. And the very first one is to empower and engage communities to actually help themselves, followed by work that will be done to ensure safe, effective treatments are available, to strengthen health systems. The interesting thing is that snakebite really is the canary in the coal mine when it comes to whether a health system is fully functional or not, because you might have a functional hospital or health centre, but if the supply chain is deficient, people won't get the antivenom and the other drugs and medicines that they need to be treated effectively, and the system will fall over. And of course, WHO can't do this sort of work in isolation. So the fourth pillar is really around increasing partnership, coordination, and building the resources that are necessary to be able to bring this work to a successful conclusion. So how have we been doing in the midst of a global pandemic? Remarkably, in spite of everything, we've actually been making some very good progress. We have several major projects underway, and I'll run through those very briefly in the next 10 minutes or so. In terms of community work, we are in the process, and I think Beth Moos was giving a presentation either yesterday, I think it may have been, on our community engagement toolkit work, where we've basically been working to understand the landscape of how public health related community-based programs either succeed or fail, so that we can actually develop a set of tools that can be functionally useful. We're doing a lot of work around antivenoms at the moment. We have a technical scientific advisory group that's working with DNDi and WHO developing target product profiles. And these are profiles that help both manufacturers and regulators to understand what a product's particular needs are, what's actually required of a product for it to be successful and to meet the aspirations that the various stakeholders have of it. And that project doesn't only include the current conventional plasma-derived antivenoms. We're also going to be looking at developing TPPs for next generation technologies. So the recombinant products, the monoclonal products, the humanized antibody products, and also for small molecule inhibitors during the course of this project. We had developed a program around risk-benefit assessments for African and antivenoms several years ago now, and we're now in the process of expanding that to Asian markets as a precursor to developing an eventual pre-qualification system for antivenom products, probably sometime in the next 3 to 4 years. Risk-benefit assessments are not WHO pre-qualification, it's important to point out. But what they do is they enable us to look at all aspects of the production, the quality control of products, the GMP status of the manufacturing sites, and make a balanced decision as to whether the risks of a particular product that may not necessarily be quite up to scratch outweigh the benefits, or whether the benefits indeed outweigh the risk. And in addition to this, one of the biggest areas of work that we're involved in is developing a antivenom stockpile program for sub-Saharan Africa to try and look at how we can improve the situation in Africa and make sure that good quality products are able to get to the right places in the right time, and that they're not only accessible, that they're also affordable, and be able to monitor their distribution, monitor their use and their safety, and help governments to make informed decisions based on that. And it sort of ties in a little bit to the goal of strengthening health systems. We all understand that the data that we have on snakebite at the moment is deficient in many regards. The sorts of publications that we see are either national or subnational, or sometimes only limited to a particular hospital in a country or a particular healthcare setting or community. And what we really need to be able to make good decisions is data right across the board at national and subnational level. It then feeds into regional levels so that we actually know what the true extent of the problem is, and which countries have the same sorts of problems, which countries have different challenges, so that we can best work out how to help them. So we have been working to develop what's called the District Health Information System Part 2 module, DHIS2, which I'll talk about a little bit more in a minute, to roll out to countries so that they can actually start collecting data and feeding it through to a common repository. And hand in hand with that, we've also identified the fact that there's a real need to improve the level of knowledge and training of health workers, particularly in low and middle income countries. So we have been working around the development of clinical training resources to help countries better equip their health workers to deal with snakebite. And then to try and sort of wrap all of this up, because we have a lot that's going on in all of these projects. They're all using substantial amounts of data, often very diverse data. We've developed a snakebite information and data platform, and we're going to launch the first stage of that next month. It's designed to be an open, accessible data sharing portal. It'll be interactive. We want people to be able to contribute to it. We will, over the next 2 years, be adding various tools and apps. Eventually, you'll be able to get this on your smartphone or your tablet or your desktop, and be able to make use of the data that we collect and put into the depository. So these are some of the key things that we're doing. And just to elaborate on a few of them a little bit more, as Beth may have told you when she talked about the community engagement side of things, we've recently published a scoping review of public health program engagement activities, not just for snakebite, not just for NTDs, but across a very wide range of different public health activities, to see what actually works and what doesn't necessarily work, so that we don't go and have the same problems or reinvent the wheel twice. And using the lessons that have been learnt from that process of reviewing what's published, talking to experts, analysing the existing tools that are available. We're developing a framework process to feed into content development, and we'll take that into a deeper engagement cycle with the various stakeholders probably before the end of this year. We're planning on having a community engagement meeting with a wide range of stakeholders from around the world to get their feedback and their thoughts, and see how we can feed all of that into developing a final set of tools that we'll then pilot as part of the work we're doing in sub-Saharan Africa, before we make it broadly available to anybody who wants to make use of it through the information and data platform. The antivenom side of things, I guess, as I said, this is probably a really key area of work we've been doing. The target product profiles, I don't know if everyone's familiar with what a TPP is, but they really are essential tools that are often used by the pharmaceutical industry and regulators and health ministries to get a better idea of what does a product need to do, what are the minimum and the optimum characteristics that it needs to have, so that you can design products that actually do what they're meant to do, that deliver, on the promise that's been made around them. So we're working at the moment with conventional products. We've got a group of 18 experts that form the technical and scientific advisory group, who've been meeting quite a lot over the last month and working through the first group of target product profiles, which will be for sub-Saharan Africa. We're developing 4 different TPPs for sub-Saharan Africa, and then we'll move on to other regions, and eventually next year in our calendar, we'll move on to the next generation antibody-based products and then the small molecule inhibitors, and develop TPPs for them as well. But the first drafts that we're doing for sub-Saharan Africa, we expect to put these out to public consultation before the end of September for approximately 30 days to get feedback from as many people as possible before we do the final drafts and move towards getting agreement from the advisory group on their suitability for publication. Our risk-benefit assessment program. In sub-Saharan Africa, we originally had applications from 9 different organisations, 9 different manufacturers. 2 of those were eliminated because they made products that weren't for sub-Saharan Africa. They were actually products that were made for the Middle Eastern region, and they weren't appropriate to the types of snakes that are found in sub-Saharan Africa. During the course of the assessment, we had 2 other products where the assessments were terminated for various reasons, and then we took 5 products forward to a very comprehensive laboratory examination of preclinical efficacy, antivenom composition, looking at everything from the protein content, the immunoglobulin content, what types of contaminants were potentially present, through to looking at the antivenomics and then the in vivo measures of potency, both of lethality in the terms of the classic ED50, but also for some of the snakes, we, for example, Naja nigricollis, we looked at the specific effectiveness of these antivenoms against the hemorrhagic and the necrotic activities and the myotoxic activities. And as a result of that, 2 product recommendations have been released for sub-Saharan Africa. We have 3 more pending, as well as the laboratory work. All of these manufacturers have had to go through very comprehensive GMP inspections by WHO's GMP inspector. And as a result of that, where departures from GMP have been identified and problems have been found, the manufacturers have been asked to address those and to address them to our satisfaction before we can proceed further. So at the moment, we have 1 more that's likely to be approved in the next month or so that has passed their GMP, and we've got 2 other products that haven't yet met the GMP requirements. That's what's holding us back from going any further at the moment with sub-Saharan Africa. And of course, because of COVID, it's very difficult for these manufacturers to do this. In both cases, it means they have to invest very large amounts of money to improve the GMP in their facilities. And of course, with COVID, even doing the most basic of work can be quite a challenge. But later this year, probably the middle of October, we'll be launching a call for applications in respect of conventional products for use against the South Asian Big 4 species. So these are the sorts of antivenoms that are targeted to countries like Pakistan and India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan. And in addition to examining these products against the Big 4 snake venoms that they're actually comprised of, We'll also be looking at 9 other species to look at the degree of paraspecificity that's likely to be present or not. And the aim of these risk-benefit assessments is to be able to give some confidence to procurement agencies. What we hope will come of it is that we will have positive recommendations that will give countries, ministries of health and others the confidence to move forward and use the products. In sub-Saharan Africa, those recommended products will feed into our antivenom stockpile. This is a really big project. It involves a lot of data collection, a lot of different analyses and building of systems, looking at everything from how antivenoms are currently distributed, what they cost, what the costs of treatment are, what the cost of different types of distribution might be, which snakes are found where, what the level of capacity of the health facilities and the health workers are, in order to come up with a pilot program that we can kick off probably sometime early in 2023.
Sorry, David, 5 minutes to go.
No worries, thanks. But the whole aim of this is that this is something that will be fed initially by donor support. It will involve community engagement, enhanced surveillance and pharmacovigilance, aimed at stabilising the market and growing confidence in it, building partnerships, where countries can call upon recommended products through supply requests and have that product come in at much better pricing and much better volume than they've been able to get previously. A little bit about DHIS2, which is the District Health Information System 2. It's a global public good system. It's currently rolled out to 73 low to middle income countries around the world, and it's integrated into WHO's integrated data platform. We will be using it to collect and analyse age and sex stratified national and subnational data on incidence, mortality, disability, as well as antivenom usage for those countries, and feeding that into our data platform to help with making decisions around various aspects of the work we want to do. But it'll also be available to health ministries. We hope it will lead to different ministries of health collaborating with each other where they find that they have the same issues, to develop, solutions in partnership with one another. And the whole area of partnership and coordination is really important. The platform that we're currently developing is really central to this, but so too is also the roster of experts that we've pulled together over the last year. We have a roster of approximately 100 experts, not just from the snakebite field, but from all sorts of public health and other fields, everything from supply and distribution, logistics to health economics, to various levels of innovation that might be able to help produce better antivenoms. And we plan to
go.
Sorry?
2 minutes to go.
Thanks. We plan to have a biannual call of expressions of interest for this so that we can periodically refresh and expand it. Later this year, we'll be having a meeting with African member states so we can listen to what they think about the snakebite problem and then work with them to chart a path forwards in the post-COVID era. WHO has a new NTD work plan. The work plan doesn't look at siloing things anymore. It looks at integrating problems right across the board. And with snakebite, that's what we're trying to do, is find ways to integrate interventions across other diseases. In terms of resources, COVID has definitely impacted a lot of areas of work. But fortunately, we've been able to successfully conclude some major funding submissions in the last 12 months. Going forward, I'm not sure how it's going to be in the post-COVID era with health priorities, but we can only take things one step at a time. Very briefly at the end, the data portal, it's ArcGIS-driven technology, a number of databases, including DHIS2, integrated with Access Mod 5 and COSTIT. These are current WHO tools for looking at everything from how you get people from where they were bitten to where they can be treated, and how you get medicines from where they come into a country to where they're going to be given to patients. It centralises collection of data and is aimed at a lot of collaboration and sharing. And it's a very diverse set of data, everything from demographic and human population, geography, snake population, through to economic data, data on the distribution of antivenoms and other commodities, and a very acute look at the health facilities themselves and the health resources. So we've been able to get a lot done, I think, in the time that we've had, given that COVID is around. Hopefully, if we get to put COVID behind us in the next couple of years, we can accelerate things a little bit more, and I can come back maybe in 2 years and give you another update.